We are live.
Good evening and welcome to the Student Roundtable hosted by the Maryland State Board of Education and the Maryland State Department of Education. My name is Maren Thomas and I am the student member of the State Board and a high school senior from Wicomico County. It is my pleasure to facilitate the virtual roundtable with State Superintendent Mohammed Chowdhury and to welcome our roundtable participants and our viewers on YouTube Live. Tonight, we will learn about the strategic plan and the engagement report, phases 1 and 2, that were recently released by the State Board of Education and MSDE. After this presentation, students will have an opportunity to share their reflections and input on the strategic plan through a roundtable discussion. This roundtable is a part of the unprecedented and ongoing engagement that will continue informing the strategic planning process. The strategic plan will guide MSDE's organizational direction as it leads the transformation necessary to achieve excellent and equitable outcomes for all students, especially those who have been historically undeserved. The State Board and MSDE envisions a system of world-class schools where all Maryland students acquire the knowledge and skills necessary for success in college and career and life. We will continue to center students in our planning and decision-making processes. Students have provided input on each phase of the strategic planning processes, and this is the third roundtable we have hosted with them. The students we are speaking with tonight represent a wide range of experiences from youth apprentices to community leaders and mentees. We are excited to hear their perspectives and include them as mutual authors of our strategic plan. Now for some remarks from our superintendent.
Thank you, Marin. Thank you guys for joining us. I really appreciate you guys making the time at 6:00 p.m. on a Wednesday during the week. I'm sure you have other stuff to do, but I really appreciate you guys making the time. It was really important to us that we hear from students, not just always typically involved with all of the different leadership roles that exist in the state. I love having a state student board member on the state board. I love meeting with the SMOBs, but I also like meeting with students who are not SMOBs too. And so it was very important for me to do one and many more that are not. So one of the things I do is I shadow students, and I was no 4.0 student. So Marin always makes me question my life and what I've done and what I've accomplished. And, and my middle school record was not the best. And so at the end of the day, but I was a normal kid, and here I am doing what I hoped to do and wanted to do. And I want to make sure that as I work with the State Board of Education and our student board member to design an education system that works for every student, regardless of how your path plays out across your K-12 journey and beyond, that we do right by you. And so with that, it's very important that we listen to everyone, not just the adults, but our most precious user, you guys, in terms of what you guys are experiencing. As you guys know, we are in something called the blueprint era. The blueprint for Maryland's future is our state putting in almost $4 billion over the next 10 years in our education system. Billions, right? That's a big number. And so, we need to make sure that it does what it's supposed to do, right? And make sure it lands in the right places as well too. So this is about getting your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings about those things that we're thinking about here in terms of moving directionally and how to implement things well. So think about that today as you give your feedback. I always say, speak your truth, right? Keep it real. Be classy, all right, and make sure that if you have something to say and you feel like you can't say it, let us know, and we'll make sure our facilitators get to. We have a nice big group today, so I'm excited to engage with you guys with our state board member Marin. And with that, we'll begin. You're muted.
I was muted. Sorry. Thank you for those opening remarks. Now we are going to transition to our presentation. Superintendent Chowdhury will walk us through an overview of the strategic plan and engagement report, phases 1 and 2. It is important that you have a solid understanding of the strategic plan priorities, enablers, and goals for the discussion we will be having after the presentation. We want you to ask clarifying questions and save any reflections or comments for the discussion portion of our roundtable. To ask questions, use the link for Slido in the chat. Click on the Q&A tab, type your questions, and submit. Once participant questions appear in Slido, you can like the questions that are most important to you. We will prioritize those questions that have multiple likes. Now we are ready to hear about the strategic plan, phases 1 and 2 from Superintendent Chowdhury.
All right, let's jump right in. So wanted to make sure you guys had some important background knowledge as we jump into getting your feedback around some big decisions that we're looking to make in the state. So let's move on to our next slide that breaks down what we are going to talk about today. So I'm going to talk to you about our strategic plan. You might be in a school system right now that has a strategic plan, right? Every organization has one, and we'll talk more about that and what the State Department of Education, myself, and the State Board of Education are looking to do and hope to do through our strategic plan. Well, I'll give you some more information about the blueprint. So to make sure that you get a, if you are already well aware of it, great. I apologize for some of the repetitive knowledge that you might already have. And for those who don't, I'm hoping that you get a sense of the overall vision of our blueprint state law. We'll talk about what we have done so far to reach this point, so you get a sense of the engagement that we've been doing. And then we're launching our strategic plan in 3 phases. So we have launched phase 2, that was in February. Phase 1 was in October, and phase 3 is going to be in summer, June of 2023. And so that's where we will essentially launch the full plan. And then what's next in terms of continuing to get feedback and what we think about as we implement our strategic plan. So let's go on to the next slide. Next slide. All right. So why do we need a strategic plan, right? Every organization needs some level of focus on what they are here to do every day when it comes to their mission and vision and what they're trying to pull off, right? So the State Department of Education is no different. We've never had a strategic plan, and it's very important to the state board and I that we have a strategic plan, that we have a set of North Stars that we focus on so we can stay focused. There are a million things we're responsible for, but we really want to make sure all those things we do converge around a set of area foci that we can make sure that if we did these right, then all of our students will be better off. And so we are in the middle of strategic planning. Ultimately, the strategic plan will have several different components, and I'll talk about that. And then we also wanted to make sure that we had a plan that can harness the policy conditions, the financial resources coming in through the blueprint legislation. And so we wanted to make sure for all those reasons that we did have a plan that we can anchor and keep our focus on and make sure that the public can keep us accountable on for pulling off that we said we were going to do this and we pulled it off. And then if it wasn't working, here's what we would do to refine it and adjust it going forward. Next slide, please. Here's our windy road. It is a windy road on purpose, right? Because there is no such thing as just a straight line in terms of when you are trying to pull off big plans. And so for us, you know, it is a windy road. And as you can see, we kicked off. I started my tenure as your state superintendent in July of 2021. And then late in that fall of my first year, we kicked off our strategic planning process. Phase 1 that we released in October of 2022, we spent the remainder of 21-22, going through the summer into October, essentially revamping the department's mission, vision, and values, and what we call priorities and enablers. And I'll talk about what those are a little later. Then we kept engaging. We have been doing a series of roundtables and many other things, and I'll share about what we have done. And then we ultimately led to our phase 2 release. And phase 2 was focused on how would we define success? What would success look like, right? Those are our metrics and goals. So we have our priorities and enablers. How would we measure whether or not we're pulling off what we said we want to pull off? And we just released that not too long ago in February of 23. And in between that time and after, we're still engaging. Hence today we are doing an engagement session with you. And then we are hoping to release our final plan with all of the elements, the mission, vision, values, priorities, enablers, the success metrics and goals, and finally, the main strategies and programs and initiatives we want to invest most of our time in, because we believe that if we did this, then this will happen, right? If we did more of this. So, and then of course, everything that comes after July 2023 and beyond is about implementing that plan. Next slide, please. Here are the elements. You heard me talk about them, but essentially our strategic plan has several different foundational elements. It has a mission, a vision. It has a set of key values. It has priorities. These are the things those are those big rock, those North Star items we want to focus. Whoop, went too fast, too ahead of me. And man, I'm not synced up with whoever my slide person is. Okay, I gotta have a chat with them to make sure we're queued up. And so the priorities and enablers are let me start with our priority. Our priorities are focused on those big rock items I talked about, and enablers are structural conditions that support the priorities so we can be successful in pulling them off. Goals and metrics are exactly what they sound like, right? The goals and metrics are essentially will help us keep our focus on how to measure success across those priorities and enablers that we have. And then our targets will ultimately be those things that we want to hit. So if we're at 30, we want to get to 60 in 5 years. Then how do we get there, and what are the benchmarks in between to get to from 30 to 60, right? So that's just an example, but that's essentially what we mean by our targets. And then the flagship programs and strategies are exactly what it sounds like. It's here, if we invest in these strategies, if we invest in this program, then we can pull off this target and goal that we have for this priority. So those are the elements. Let's go off to the next slide. Okay, we will now talk about the blueprint. Let's go off to the next slide. So the blueprint is, we literally call it a once in a generation opportunity. And that's not exaggeration. Only a few times in history, sometimes it comes around where a state says, we're gonna do something big and we wanna get it right. And our state decided to do that. So in the Maryland General Assembly in spring of 21, this was before I came on board, passed the blueprint legislation. The blueprint is truly a unique law where it touches every aspect of the education system. And you'll see that as I talk further about it, from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade, and then focusing on what you guys are able to do beyond high school and what supports would be needed. It is anchored around 5 pillars, and we'll talk about what those 5 pillars are. And it has several different stakeholders on it. There is the State Board of Education. There's also another board called the Accountability Implementation Board that I collaborate with to ensure that we get it right. And like I said, billions of dollars in education over the next 10 years. Some of you, depending on what grade you're in, you'll feel some of it. Some of you may be leaving and you might not feel all of it. And those of you who have younger siblings will feel all of it, hopefully, right? And so ultimately, it's our state saying we need to do more, we can do better, and we need to put our money where our mouth is. And here we are, and we passed it. And so now it's time to implement. Again, spring of 21 is when the blueprint passed. Let's talk about the 5 pillars. Go to the next slide. Okay, so here are the 5 pillars of the blueprint. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about them. I won't go over every single bullet. The blueprint is like pretty much a 500-page law. But these are the most key things inside the 5 pillars. But if you are interested in nerding out on the 500 pages, definitely you should. And so first pillar is early childhood education, right? We got to make sure that all of our students get a great start from the beginning. And so this is about making sure that all students have access to a high quality early childhood education environment that is best fit for them. So you might be interested in pre-K that has more of a project-based learning focus, or a pre-K that has a Montessori type focus, whatever that may be, making sure that every one of our students, regardless of zip code, can access high quality pre-K. And then also families have the supports needed to be able to navigate their options and help them to both have their student and themselves be successful as parents and guardians of students who are just starting out schools. Patty and Judy centers, you guys might be in districts that have both of them or one of them, or maybe none, but our goal is to create these centers that help families navigate and support their children when it comes to starting school and make sure that they're successful. And it also looks at making sure we have smart partnerships. And so regardless of the type of setting that you're in for pre-K, that you are getting a high quality education before you jump into kindergarten. High quality, diverse and teacher leaders. We want to make sure our teachers are taken care of. The blueprint is raising starting pay to $60,000 in a few years, which will make it one of the highest starting pay. It is also making sure that teachers can make more sooner rather than having to wait a very long time for all the work that they do. So it has something called a career ladder, meaning that if you're a teacher who is just starting out, right, and then you are growing in your leadership and you take on more responsibilities or you do other things, we want to make sure that we recognize and incentivize and reward that. And they can be upwards to another $17,000 on top of their existing pay. And we want to also make sure our new teachers coming in through different programs at our universities and colleges are prepared. And so we are raising expectations for teacher preparation and induction. Induction refers to those first few years of what I say when you're a baby teacher, which I was at one point, those first 3 years of your career, making sure you have a mentor, making sure you're supported, and making sure people are helping you be the best you can be. So that's induction. So the blueprint has a focus on that. And then finally, you see diverse teachers and leaders. We want to make sure our teachers look like the students of Maryland. We want to make sure that our teacher pipeline reflects the diversity of our state, because that's very important. College and career readiness is the third pillar, and that's one's about making sure all of our students are ready by college and career ready by the end of 10th grade. And if they're not ready by the end of 10th grade, definitely by the time they leave in 12th grade. And essentially what this pillar hopes to see is by the time you're done with all your courses that you've had to done up to 10th grade, your junior and senior year of high school should be more focused on things that you're interested in doing in life. So if you want to go off to college, whether it be a 2-year or 4-year, then you can start taking dual enrollment, dual credit. You can start taking AP courses, things that you want to do that will help you further strengthen and give you preparation to go off to more higher levels of education. If you want to jump into an industry, making sure you can, and that you can do something that is known as a registered apprenticeship, or you can earn an industry recognized credential. So we currently in our state have about 500 students participating in registered apprenticeship. The blueprint hopes that 45% of our graduating seniors every year, at least 45% of them would have a chance to complete a high quality registered apprenticeship. So basically being paid while you're learning, whether it be welding or whatever that may be, or computer programming that doesn't require a college degree, but requires some certification, and you want to jump into an industry that pays well right out of high school, we create those opportunities. And then finally, not finally, one more before our last pillar, more resources for students. That's exactly what it sounds like. This is about making sure that we increase how much money schools are getting, and we make sure that there's equitable decision-making around this, making sure that our students who come from backgrounds where they might not have opportunities or resources that other students have in other neighborhoods, making sure we provide the funding necessary to level the playing field and making sure that exists. And so it's about making sure that we create something called community schools that allow wraparound services and supports for our families who need it, and being able to help them navigate those things. And then finally, governance accountability is basically making sure that everything what we're going to do in the blueprint, that the adults responsible for doing this, they're held accountable for doing it right, right? And so all of your districts this past March 15th, that just passed by, and they're being looked at and reviewed right now by the department and the accountability implement, they submitted their blueprint plan. So if you were not aware of this, you should definitely focus in on this, and the blueprint plans are publicly published, so you should be able to grab them and look at them. But all of your districts, Cecil, Wycomico, Worcester, everyone, Baltimore City, everyone had to submit their first blueprint plan for how they're going to implement the strategies and the vision of the blueprint across these pillars. So that's the blueprint. Let's go on to the next slide. Let's keep going. We are doing a wide variety of things to engage our stakeholders. Here's an example of some of the things we've done. We have a statewide survey. We're doing roundtables like this today. We've done regional gallery walks, meaning we've done in-person events where people are engaging with their colleagues or other folks who are practitioners in education and looking at data and having very rich conversations on solutions and challenges. We are doing listening sessions where we go and sit and listen rather than engage, rather than speak, just to hear people out. So just know that we are doing multiple strategies, and we want to constantly, if there's things that we don't know about, you let us know. We have a department form that you can fill out to say, hey, come to this event, go to this event. And so please make sure that you keep that in mind. Next slide. Here's just a sample of the different types of stakeholders that we've spoken to. So pretty self-explanatory, but it's very important that we capture all the different stakeholders that the education system in Maryland touches, including yourselves, students. Next slide. Here are some numbers in terms of what we have clocked in so far when it comes to our engagement work. We've done 28 plus roundtables. We are now over 30 roundtables. If we were to update this slide, we've had well over 400 participants now, and we've done several hours that you can look up in the MSDE YouTube channel of dialogue and exchange through roundtables and other events. We've had close to 30,000 survey respondents. My hope is to get to 50,000. And as you can see, we've done, we're not going to stop. And our goal is to be able to engage the greatest amount possible so we can make the best decision when we make a policy decision here at the department and at the state board level. Next slide. Next slide. So here is the department's revamped mission and vision, right? This is where we are right now. We went through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So we're still pressure testing it with our stakeholders. So our mission is, right, we will ensure a rigorous and world-class educational experience for every Maryland student in every neighborhood that prepares each to be college and career ready through strategic direction and leadership, policymaking and resource allocation, and engagement and advocacy. And our vision is we will be a system of world-class schools where students acquire the knowledge and skills necessary for success in college, career, and life. So that's our revamped mission and vision here at the department. Next slide, please. Here is our values. I won't read all of them, but you can see our values range from accountability to engagement, equity, excellence, and transformation. We want to make sure that when we make decisions, when we think through high stakes decisions, that we are grounded in a set of values. And so the state board and I landed here, and we believe all are equally important. As you can see, our definition of equity: we will do whatever it takes to eliminate barriers to success and provide the necessary resources and support to ensure that every Maryland student achieves at the highest level. And we want to also make sure that we are accountable as well. We will take responsibility for our commitments and maintain open and transparent and responsive communication on academic, operational, and financial policies and outcomes. I won't read the others, but just those are our values. Next slide. These are our priorities. This is where we have landed so far in terms of the things we want to focus on. Priority 1 is about all Maryland students are prepared socially and emotionally and academically for success in kindergarten. We want to make sure that everyone comes and starts with a high quality early education setting, and that they enter kindergarten ready to succeed. And if they're not quite ready, we provide them the supports to do so. We want to make sure priority 2, all Maryland students are proficient in reading by the end of 3rd grade, and those who are not have the necessary supports to become proficient. Reading is a very important skill. People often say right at 3rd grade, when you look at the research, you shift from learning to read to reading to learn. And so it's very important that the ability to read that touches all other subjects is mastered by the time you finish 3rd grade. Priority 3, all Maryland students enter high school on track to meet the new college and career readiness standard that's going to be set by the blueprint by the end of 10th grade, and are engaged socially and emotionally and academically to succeed in progressively challenging and advanced level coursework aligned to college and career pathways. And then priority 4, all Maryland students graduate from high school, college, and career ready, and with an individualized plan to succeed in college, career, and life. So those are our priorities. And I want to talk a little bit about our enablers. So next slide. These are our enablers. I won't read all of them, but enablers are essentially the structural conditions. They support the priorities, right? You have to make sure you have these things in order to make sure kids can be successful in reading, can be successful in the pathway of their choice in high school, all of those things. And so some examples like priority 3, Maryland is elevating the stature of the teaching profession. We want to make sure that we have a deep pool of teachers. That being a teacher in the country is the most sought after in Maryland because it creates the best conditions for our teachers to be able to succeed. We want to make sure our students are successful, priority 4, by ensuring that we support them socially, emotionally, and their health and wellness and safety. We want to make sure the school's culture and climate is healthy. We want to make sure we provide wraparound services because it's not just about academic support, it's also about mental health supports and other things as well. And we want to also make sure our families are engaged regularly, and we partner with them to make sure that we can all do the best we can to make sure that you guys are successful. So these are some examples of structural conditions. Let's go on to the next slide. Specifically, as we went on to phase 2, I talked about goals and metrics. So we wanted to make sure that all of those priorities and goals that we set and those enablers, we can measure success, because you don't want to just say something and you can't measure it. Because if you can't measure it, then you can't actually move the needle on and know whether or not it's working and being successful. So we started doing that, and we put out our first set of proposed goals and metrics for how to measure something in phase 2, which was in February of 2023. Next slide. And so I want to go over some of those with you. So remember, priority 1 was ready for kindergarten, ready to succeed in kindergarten, socially, emotionally, as well as academically. And so increase in the percentage of kindergarten students scoring at the demonstrating readiness level on the KRA assessment. KRA is a tool that we use that looks to see that are our students ready for kindergarten and how they're doing. Priority 2, increase the percentage of grade 3 students scoring proficient or above in our ELA assessment that we give annually. Priority 3, right, decrease in the percentage of students. So we're thinking middle school of grade 8 students that get one or more of the following ABC indicators. It's known as attendance, behavior, and course, and how you're doing on your courses. And so there's strong research that as soon as you get your first F in in middle school, or you begin to start being absent more than you should be in early as middle school, then it tends to translate over into high school. So we want to know early on whether Mohammed is struggling to come to school, and let's intervene and get him the support that he needs, so it doesn't turn into something that throws him off in 7th and 8th grade. And so that's what the ABC indicators are: attendance, behavior, course credit. And then finally, for our 10th grade, for our high school students, the blueprint envisions that you are college and career ready. So having that definition of college and career readiness, and making sure every year more and more kids are showing up to the end of 10th grade, going to 11th, college and career ready. Let's go on to the next slide. We also have another set of goals and metrics related to our enablers. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I would want you to look at, for example, our enabler 3, which was raising the stature of the teaching profession, the one that I went over a few slides ago. So how would we measure that? Increasing the percentage of new teachers of color as measured by our fall staff collection report, increasing the percentage of teachers retained over a 3-year period, because we don't want teachers leaving after they come and quitting. We want them to make it a lifelong career. Increase of our percentage of teachers who are eligible for the teacher leadership track of the career ladder. So remember that blueprint envisions is a career ladder, which means that our teachers can, without leaving the classroom, can take on more leadership roles as well as earning more in pay. We want to make sure more and more teachers are increasing. We also have a survey that we do that many of you may have already done a couple of times, that we introduced a few years ago. And we so enabler 4, which was really focused on the mental health, social emotional support, wraparound supports. We want to make sure in that survey annually, our students are telling us that they have a favorable, a positive view of the learning environment that they have. And there's also a decrease in suspension rates and discipline challenges that our schools are facing. And so the survey topics, there's so many of them. So we want to hone in on only a few of them that have the best connection to other outcomes like academics and such. Let's go on to the next slide. The other goals and metrics that we have is twofold. We want to make sure our schools that are struggling the most, our low performing schools, get the support that they need. We don't want them to get re-identified multiple times on the state's list for schools that are struggling. So we have to federally report the bottom 5% of our schools and how they're, if they're not doing well. We don't want to see people repeating their names on that list. And so we want to hone in and make sure that we avoid that. And that doesn't happen to the point where we shouldn't have to have low performing schools to begin with. We also want to look at cohorts of students. So look at that bottom one, following a cohort of students from grade 3 to 8, an increase in average performance level in ELA and math. We want to make sure that, hey, you may have been a 30 at, say in 3rd grade, but by the time you got to 8th grade, you're at close to 90. We want to make sure essentially that our students are growing every year, because, your 3rd grade teacher does the best they can with you and supports you, and then your 4th grade teacher gets you, and you want to make sure your 4th grade teacher takes the amazing things your 3rd grade teacher has done, and so on and so on. And then you go from 5th grade to middle school. We want to make sure our cohorts of students are every year getting better and better in terms of how they're progressing in their academic success. And so we want to make sure that Maryland is paying attention to that, because if we're seeing students not doing better year after year, then something's wrong and we need to do better. And we need to reassess our approach to supporting you. Next slide. As I wind down, let's go to the next slide. Let's talk about what's next. So here's that windy road. Notice that phase 1 and 2 are grayed out. And so there's only phase left, which is to come up with strategies and programs to reach the goals that I just laid out for you for the priorities enablers. So that is where we are right now. And we are here to get your opinions and thoughts on what kinds of things it's going to take to able to get this right. And so one of the things that we want to make sure that you do, next slide, please, is in addition to weighing in today, make sure you fill out this survey if you haven't. My goal is to hit 50,000 by June. And so I know we can get there. So definitely please fill this out. Let's go on to the next slide. You can also read about our strategic plan, the first two phases. Next slide, please. We have a website, strategicplan.marylandpublic.school. One more back, please. Strategicplan.marylandpublicschools.org. And you can definitely go here and read about everything that I talked about today in more detail. Next slide, please. We also have a blueprint website that helps you learn more about the law. So if you're like, I'm not going to read those 500 pages of the law, you tell me what's important in their, superintendent. So if you go to the next slide, you can go to the blueprint website and you can definitely get a full breakdown of the law and how it works, including the funding. And then last slide, please. We are going to start doing something called charrettes. So in architecture, when a group of architects want to take a piece of land and redesign it and build a building or a facilities project, they when they are not sure how to go about what they want to build, or there's debate around what the right approach is, they do these things called charrettes. And essentially they come together and they have focused conversations to get the ideas on the table and ultimately have those ideas come to a set of final ideas on how to best move forward with a project or initiative. So we want to make sure as we set final programs and strategies that we want to invest in, that we can bring our state together through a series of charrettes and get their ideas and have their conversation to see what is ultimately the things that we should lean into and focus on. And I think with that, I get to rest a little bit, and I'm going to pass it back on to the rest of my team.
Thank you, Superintendent Chowdhury. I learned a lot, and I hope our participants and viewers on YouTube did as well. We want to make sure you have an adequate understanding of the priorities, enablers, and goals in this strategic plan before we begin our discussion. So we will try to answer as many questions as time permits. Participants can view all questions and vote on Slido. Lindsay Malig-Mayhew, Deputy Director of Community Engagement, will facilitate the Q&A and address the questions prioritized by our participants.
Thanks, Maren. I know we're running a little bit behind, so I'm going to try to at least address the first three here. The current starting salary for teachers is kind of in flux. The blueprint, as you learned, does establish a career ladder that changes some of those things. The starting salary by 2026 across the state in every single county should be $60,000. There's also other incentives. If a teacher receives their national board certification, they can get up to $7,000 if they are at a low performing school. There's $10,000 raises also in addition to that for the national board certification. So there's a lot of incentives that the blueprint phases in. But as of right now, there are different starting salaries depending on the county or the district that they work for. Oh, we got that switched. Will teachers be better incentivized to do after school activities along with raise and minimum pay? So the second part of that question we just answered. The first part, you learned about the community schools. Part of that is the needs assessment that your community school coordinator would do, and that determines wraparound supports. There's a lot of different wraparound supports that can be determined, which would provide additional funding for educators, teachers, along with community partners that can come into the school and provide funding for some of the after school activities, in addition to summer activities, weekend activities. There can be that funding can also be used for additional staff like social workers, mentors, counselors, psychologists. There's a lot of different supports that can be funded, but that is where, coming from the blueprint, funding would come from for after-school activities through the community school model. Let's see, the next question we can probably get to. As a member of the pilot class of Chinese immersion program, very cool. Will some of this money be going to that? Could this expand the program? So the blueprint did establish a work group on English learners, and the final report for that was released a couple months ago, and we can go ahead. I'll put that in the chat too, so you can read over that. One of the recommendations was to increase two-way immersion programs. And so we actually will be releasing a podcast soon. And on that, we talked with a program in Prince George's County about their dual language program and how we can scale those so that more districts across the state can establish the programs and involve more students, provide that opportunity for more students to be able to participate, because it's a great way for students to learn from each other and develop those really important language skills that we know are so important in our global economy. So unfortunately, that is all the time we have for questions. We will make sure we will provide answers throughout the discussion to as many of these as we can, just so you can follow up and get more information. So Maren, I think we're ready to go into our discussion.
Thank you for guiding us through the Q&A, Deputy Director Mayhew. Now we would like to meet our roundtable participants. During the introductions, we asked participants to rank the strategic plan priorities, enablers, and goals that are most important to you. Please click on the link in the chat or use the same Slido tab you opened to ask questions. At the top of your screen, select polls and you will be able to rank the top priority or enabler that you would like to discuss during the roundtable. While you are ranking priorities and enablers, we ask you to introduce yourself by stating your name, grade, school, and program. Please limit your introduction to these 4 things so we have time for everyone to share during the roundtable discussion. Can I please have the best and gold programs introduce themselves, starting with Nathan?
Hello, could you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Nathan Henkel. I'm a junior at St. Michael's High School in Talbot County. So I'm a part of Talbot County Public Schools asked me to do this. So I ranked priority 4, ready for college and career readiness. That was my top priority. And then I chose enablers 2 and 4. I think I chose priority 4 because I feel like it's really important for us in high school to be able to have exposure to like programs that are very specific for careers. Like for instance, my school has a biomedical science program among some others like carpentry and engineering. And we do a program with another high school in our county that allows students to go back and forth if our school doesn't offer it, because we're a pretty small rural area. So having like that specific exposure really like lets us have an opportunity to like pursue a career that we're interested in. And it's like unlike any other classes, especially like biomed, we have a lot of labs. So seeing that expanded, especially like given our rural area, would be like really beneficial for our students.
Can we please have Cahill introduce himself? And I just want to remind everyone, we actually cannot discuss of the priorities enablers right now when introducing. So if you can just limit to the name, grade, school, and program, that'd be great. Can we have Abby please introduce?
Hi, my name's Abby. I'm from Talbot County Public Schools, and I go to St. Michael's. I'm in 12th grade, and I'm the student board member for Talbot County.
Siang.
Hi, my name is Siang. I'm in 11th grade, and I go to Eastern High School in Talbot County.
And now the participants from 4-H, starting with Jude.
Hi, I'm Jude. I go to Allegheny High School, and I'm from Allegheny County, and Allegheny County 4-H asked me to come.
Can we have Lawson?
Hello, my name is Lawson Ritchie, and I'm in the 8th grade, and I'm from the Allegheny County, and I'm in the Allegheny 4-H High Rock Club.
Can we have Madison, please?
Hi, my name is Madison. I'm in the 11th grade. I'm from Harford County 4-H, and I go to North Harford High School.
Sarah?
Hi, my name is Sarah Carvin. I am a sophomore at Milton Wright High School in Harford County, and I'm a member of 4-H as well.
Alexandra?
Hi, my name is Alexandra. I'm in 10th grade at Milton Wright High School from Harford County, and I'm here on behalf of Harford County 4-H.
And now the participants from Merit Leadership Academy, starting with Quentin.
Hi, my name is Quentin Malloy. I'm a junior at Baltimore City College High School, and Merit recommended me.
Caden?
Hi, my name is Caden Bowie. I am from Baltimore City. I go to Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, and Merit recommended me.
Eleni?
Hi, my name is Eleni. I go to Western High School in Baltimore City, and Merit recommended me.
Wendy?
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Peralta Flores. I go to Baltimore City College High School in Baltimore City, and Merit recommended.
Anaya?
Hello, my name is Anaya Harris. I'm a Merit Health Leadership Academy scholar, and I attend Emerson High School. I'm in the 10th grade.
And now the participants from Identity Inc. Michelle?
Hi, my name is Michelle Graham. I go to Gateswood High School. I'm a sophomore in Montgomery County Public Schools.
Safo? Okay. From Somerset County Public Schools, can we have Tiara?
Hi, my name is Tiara Brown. I'm from Washington High School from Somerset County Public Schools.
Can we have Andrew?
Hello, my name is Andrew Goldman, and I go to Washington County from Somerset County Public Schools.
And from the program Casa de Maryland, Emmanuel?
Hi, my name is Emmanuel. I will go to Owensmere High School, and Casa recommended me.
Louis?
Hi, my name is Luis. I'm a sophomore. I go to Paul Laurence Dunbar High School in Baltimore City, and Casa recommended me.
From the Boys and Girls Club, Jameson?
Hi, I'm Jameson. I go to Winters Mill High School in Carroll County, and I'm the Maryland State Representative for Boys and Girls Club.
From the Youth Apprenticeship Program, Ariana?
Hello, I am Ariana Barnett. I'm a junior at South Hagerstown High School under Washington County Public Schools, and I am a reading tutor apprentice under WCPS.
From Jack and Jill of America, Noah? From the Maryland FFA Association, Kendall?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kendall Abrazizi. I'm a graduate of Catoctin High School in Frederick County, and I'm serving as the state president for Maryland FFA.
Thank you, everyone, for introducing yourselves. For our participants who have not submitted your priority enabler ranking, please make sure that you press and send to those now. Before we begin our discussion, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. To indicate you would like to speak, click on the face icon at the bottom of your screen and use the raise hand function. When you're not speaking, please stay muted and use the chat function if we are running short on time and there are additional comments you would like to add. We are looking forward to hearing about your honest reflections and innovative ideas this evening, so we ask you to be as open as possible. We also want to hear from our YouTube Live viewers, so please use the YouTube live chat to make comments throughout the discussion. Your feedback will inform our planning as well. Now we will see the results of the priority and enabler poll you prioritized. You prioritize priority 4, ready for college and career readiness. The corresponding goal is to increase the percentage of high school graduates who met the state, college, and career readiness standard and complete a CCR pathway. Some priority questions. Based on your role, how can you support this priority and goal? We have these questions to guide our discussion and would like you to answer based on your role as a student. We will do our best to provide about 10 minutes for discussion on each question, and our goal is for everyone to be able to participate in the conversation. I'll restate the question again in case anyone didn't catch it. Based on your role, how can you support this priority and goal?
I don't think I have the raise hand function, but I want to answer the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So like I said before, I go to Easton High School and I'm a junior. My school it like provides this class called College and Career Readiness, and I'm taking it this year. It was originally just for me to have a filler class because I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to leave school early, but I needed like 4 classes to complete my schedule. So I just took it just for taking its sake, not knowing what like I would get out of it. But now that I've been in it for almost half a semester and the school year is almost over, I think it's really an important class. And I think like it should be required, not just an option, because it gives you stuff that not all the other subjects can like provide, such as like how to pay your taxes, how to raise your credit score, how to apply for colleges, scholarships, how to get a resume, how to make a cover letter. Like it's very informational for a student like me because not all my other classes are able to give me that information. So I feel like if other counties made this class like required, I feel like more students would be better ready for college and for the career and for the future. So me just like hoping I can I can like give people like advice or share how it affected me. Hopefully it can like encourage others to take the class and encourage the higher ups to just make it required instead of optional. So that's my take on it.
I completely agree. I think having these options in our schools always helps students who are unsure about their future. Madison?
So at my school, we don't even have like an option to take a class like that. And so I would agree with Siang that I think that's a really important class to take because like required by Maryland, you have to complete your pathway class and take a certain amount of classes. But I think at a certain point for certain students, just following a pathway and taking certain classes because they're required really is more frustrating than anything else, because especially when you get into like your junior and your senior year of high school, you want to take as many different classes as you possibly can to explore what you really enjoy instead of being stuck to a certain pathway. And then you get to college and you don't really know what you actually like. So you spend lots of money taking classes to see what you like, and you've wasted money now instead of when you can do it in high school. But it's really hard when you feel constricted to like a certain group of classes you have to take so that you can complete this pathway.
I completely understand. Jude?
Yeah, at Allegheny High School where I go, like we have the same kind of career pathway thing. But there's like only like 3 pathways, and I'm on one of the pathways, and I really enjoy it. But at the beginning of the year, there were lots of students that like were in the same pathway as me, but they kind of found the classes like too hard for them, and which is completely understandable. So then they left it and moved on to something else that I don't think they really enjoy doing, and they were just kind of trying to get the classes out of the way and just graduate high school. So I kind of agreed with Madison, like if we could like somehow like broaden how many pathways there were, or even like have the pathways, but like reduce their like importance so they could explore other classes that they may be more interested in. And that might, and I think like, because like those kids that were taking those classes, like they think that like this is what college is going to be like, and they don't really like it. So then they're less likely to go to college and just just graduate high school and move on to a job.
Got it. I really think making those real life connections to these career pathways help not only MSC, but also the state board to really benefit you as a student. For our next question, it is, what challenges do you think may come up as we prepare students for college and career? Can I please have Tiara speak?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question, please?
Will do. What challenges do you think may come up as we prepare students for college and career?
I'm a junior at Washington High School, and I think one of our biggest challenges for being Somerset County is we come from like a low poverty county compared to other counties. So we're very limited to high advantage education. Also, as well as I would say like your distinguished students are very deprived of the higher education they should be receiving, as if like you were in like I was in 8th grade taking Algebra 1, Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, which is kind of abnormal for an 8th grade student just coming into high school taking that. We also don't really have lots of like materials or the resources to be able to provide to have the advantage to the higher amount of education or to be ready for the navigation of being college career readiness, as well as we're limited to the ability of really knowing like the actual real world and what we're really getting into after high school, because our students basically just think it's completing 4 years and you're graduating, and then by the time high school comes, you're lost and you really don't know what to do. I'm currently a junior right now, and I don't know what I'm going to be. I know what I'm going to be. I want to be something in the medical field, but we don't really have those, resources to be able to, talk to someone about the career path we want to be, what college classes we should be taking. We do have a technical center in Westover where you can narrow down your career there. I take a biomed class there. It offers you a college credit in college, but we're very limited to what we need to know for college, the financial aid part, especially coming from a low poverty county. Our students think that because, we're from a low poverty county that they have to limit to their options of where they go to school or what career path they may choose, and etc.
Understood. Can we please have Anaya?
Did you guys say me?
Yes, your hand was up. Are you not?
Yes, I was making sure. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're fine.
Can we repeat the question just one more time?
It's in the chat as well, but the question was, what challenges do you think may come up as we prepare students for college and career?
So the challenges I think that we really may face as students prepare to go to college is their attention spans and the overwhelming fear of debts. There's a lot of people who believe that when you go to college that debt will just drown you and you'll be, drowning in debt for a very long time. And it's a very type of financial type of struggle. So you have people who want to go and who genuinely want to continue their education. But the problem is with that, especially us in quarantine for a long period of time, a lot of people are not as motivated as they used to be. So with the attention spans, financial situations, and with just fears and debts, and debts and stuff like that, I do not believe, I do believe those are the challenges that they will face trying to go to college or anything of the sort.
Understood. Can we please have Eleni?
Hi, once again, I'm a sophomore at Western High School, which is an all-girls public school. And basically at Western, I noticed that a lot of the girls don't understand how to entirely operate in a real social setting outside of school. Like they won't understand how to conduct a business meeting or even how to go into an interview. I was fortunate enough to have gone to both an elementary school and middle school that prepared me for both situations, and come from a family that's successful enough to understand what it is to go through an interview and to also be the person interviewing the other person. So from my experience, like I know what I'm doing in a work circumstance, but I noticed that a lot of these girls are not exposed to that. And then because they're not exposed to it, when they are thrown into those situations unexpectedly, they're more than likely failing in those circumstances because it's not made and structured for them. Additionally, with them not being able to pass through certain interviews, they're not getting the experience needed for them to either know what career they want to go into or build their resume for that career that they're already committed to.
Completely understood. Can we please have Quentin?
I would like to say, I feel like it starts with knowledge. I feel like the school I go to, while it prepares us for the stress of college courses and college classes, it does not prepare us for the applications, whether it's FAFSA, applications for scholarships, or applications in general, including the essays and all that. So I feel like it's just spreading the word and knowledge and creating classes for that so that people can know where to start. Because I feel like the main issue is people don't know where to start, get afraid, and then never go off from that spot.
Got it. Lawson?
Hi. I think there should be more scholarship options or like, career path options, because a lot of people like has said can't afford it because of worry about going to debt, all that. And the other thing is that maybe the career center we could start earlier than 11th grade, which opens up like get them to know more of what they want to do. Since some of them can't go to college, they can know what they already want to do and how to do it and everything. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Kendall and Kaden will be the last ones to answer this question. What do you think, Kendall?
Thank you. So I definitely think that one of the challenges moving forward as preparing students for colleges and careers is just kind of the pressure of deciding, do students want to go straight into college or do they want to go into a career? I know I'm still deciding what I want to do, even as I have graduated, and I still definitely feel the pressure and just kind of trying to find as much support and resources for both sides and not just one or the other. I live in a very rural area and I have several friends who they did not finish high school. They dropped out to go do more like blue collar jobs or work on the farm. So I think if we were to have more options in school to kind of support all of their interests as well, and maybe incentivize them to stay in school, get their college diploma, and then decide is the college right for them or is a career right for them, and set them up for maybe those blue collar jobs.
Aiden?
I believe one of the biggest challenges of like college and career readiness is one, like grades and like scores, because one, there's a fear with these, because whether though a lot of schools the test optional now, it's still like, oh yeah, like a lot of people previous to me brought up like the money involved. So if you do decide to admit your test scores and they're not as good, it could be like a deterrent for some schools. And if you like don't, then you might not be eligible for some scholarships, which you might really need because you might not be financially stable enough to attend some of these institutions. And that's where I think, and since Maryland is a big SAT state, it's kind of hard to like say like, oh yeah, because since it's pushed so much on SAT, like SAT, but some people do better on ACT, it's like we don't have as much support for ACT, and that's where a lot of people shine. So I just feel like that's a big challenge, just the scores overall, because scores lead to money, which is another big problem.
Thank you for all the input on this second question. We have the third question in the chat, and this one is, what supports or strategies will be needed to prepare students to be successful in their post-secondary experience? And can we please start with Noah? If Noah isn't ready, can we start with Andrew?
Noah, you're talking. We can see you that you're unmuted, but we're not able to hear you. Can you maybe click the little arrow at the bottom of your screen on the microphone? See if you can select a different option for your microphone. That one's not working either. No, not yet. I know it worked earlier because you have an amazing baritone, deep voice. I hope everybody gets to hear it. You might want to log in, leave and log in. Yeah, let's do that. We'll come back to you.
Okay, until he comes back, can we have Andrew?
Hi. So supports and strategies, I go to Washington High School. I'm an 11th grader there. I'm a junior. Supports and strategies. Honestly, I think that we just need to make these opportunities that students have more seen to the students. Like, there's lots of different scholarships and ways for students to get into these schools and thrive through these different programs that we have. Like, we have technical high schools in our area. We have loans, scholarships, grants, and other extracurricular activities, but not a lot of these are shown out in the open. You kind of have to dig sometimes when finding these certain opportunities, and I think that we have to make it more in the light and bring it out to different students so that they can see, hey, I can go out and do this, and I can go out and do that, and expand my, my drive for learning and all that. I think that we have to bring everything that students are learning out into the open so that we have more opportunities for students to see and actually connect with.
Thank you, Andrew. Can we have Noah try one more time?
Can you hear me now? Okay. So I think that to prepare like me for like after high school, I think you should have like more hands-on experiences. Because if you sit there and just tell me, like, put something on a piece of paper and expect me to like understand it, that's just me for real. But like if you just if you're not actually showing me how to do something, or if you're not showing me these experiences, or if you're not showing me, like, this really goes for anything for real. I'm not gonna understand it fully, but that's really just me for real.
Got it. Can we have Ariana?
Hi. I'd say that apprenticeships and internships are a great way to prepare students to be successful in their post-secondary experiences. They prepare one for what it would be like to work a job and career ready, and students have to write a cover letter and have an interview. And personally, myself, when I joined the apprenticeship program, I had to have about 2 interviews, and I had to go through extensive training over the course of 2 days. I'd say that these things prepared me for what I would experience later on if I were to be thrown into the workforce. And it also allowed me to take the para-pro exam so that if I do plan to become a teacher later on, I have the experience and knowledge to further what I already do.
Thank you. Can we have Wendy?
Hi everyone again. I go to Baltimore City College, and I believe that there are a lot of programs out there, like for example, merit, but I can understand that it can become competitive sometimes. So I believe that there should be like small events that can give you a brief exposure of what you could be possibly interested in. For example, I'm into the medical field, and if I heard a small event related to the medical field, specifically to answer my questions about it, that would assure me that I can now look out more forward into internships or other programs that are related to the medical field.
Great. And since we haven't heard from Jameson or Alexandra yet, can we please hear from Jameson right now?
Hi, I go to Winters Mill High School, and Carroll County is lucky enough to have the Career and Tech Center. It was just remodeled, which is amazing. And I was accepted into the Teaching Academy of Maryland program because I want to be a secondary art teacher. And I'm really glad that I get to have an internship because that'll save me time and money in college if I figure out that I don't want to do that. So it's helped me a lot. And I think that a lot of students should have more access to that. And also there's different programs that aren't really known to students, like the HOBie. I don't know if any of you have heard that, the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership. It's a leadership camp just for sophomores. And I was selected by Boys and Girls Club to go and do that last year. And that was really helpful for preparing me. And I think that students need to be just made more aware of those opportunities.
Completely agree.
You can't change your mind from being a teacher, Jameson. If you are, you got to talk to me. You got to, and I need teachers. So you got to let me know if you're faltering from that dream. Give me one chance to convince you. So.
I'm enjoying it so far. So hopefully we're sticking on that path.
Great.
Can we have Alexandra speak, please?
I think Jameson just talked about it, and Wendy and Andrew did as well. But I feel like just getting these opportunities that are available to students out there is really like mainly what I wanted to talk about as well. There's a lot of great summer camps out there, like with the federal government, and I just feel like that they're not known as well. So like my sister and I, we were talking a few years ago, like maybe on our county's like website, if there could be like a student opportunities page for like things that students are available, like that they're like able to do like in the summer, or like the apprenticeships program, like if that could be like more accessible to know about, that would be great. Because like I didn't even know about the Youth Leadership Academy. Like there's these great opportunities out there that just aren't like that I'm not sure about, or like other students don't know, and like just getting them out there I feel would be like really helpful.
Completely agree. And as we go into the next question, it's as well as still in the chat. What does success for this priority and goal look like? Can we please have Anaya speak?
Okay. So to me, success for college and career readiness looks like sitting down and actually like planning out what you want to do as far as college and where you want to be, because you can like have a plan, a small plan for college, and everything can completely change. So being ready for college is clearing and kind of getting your mind right for college. And what does success look like for college? Success would, to me, honestly, would be achieving those good grades, but not only that, understanding your curriculum that is given to you and being able to excel in what you do.
Got it. And can we have any of the participants from Casa de Maryland speak on this?
Hi, yeah, I'm Luis. From Baltimore City, Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School. I'm a 10th grader, and I think something that will help us in a success for college will be going and starting a career that you will like, and something that will help people, not starting something that you're not interested in just for the money. Having an interest on the career and being able to help someone else, not only you.
Michelle?
I think that for success, there's many ways, and I feel like the most important ways is being mentally prepared, because I feel like a lot of people, they do the work, they do what they need to do, but mentally they're not prepared for that big step into going to college, and that big step to be by your own, because you're like, when you go to college, it's kind of like you against yourself, that you have to mentally, like be prepared for what's going to come at you, and know that how you performed in high school is not necessarily how you're going to perform in college, because college and high school is two different mindsets.
Completely agreed. Can we have Jude?
Um, personally for me, I think like one thing to remember is that like college and career ready, that I think most people see that as like high school stuff, but I think that like one thing to remember is that like that really kind of starts really way back in like kindergarten. It's like for me personally, with the Chinese immersion program as being the pilot year and everything, like being completely fluent in Chinese and Mandarin, that's like a huge kind of like opens so many fields and like just be able to see that be expanded to so many other kids because right now it's kind of just like really constricted to only like a couple counties and that's not really fair to everybody. And so I think if that could be expanded to like everyone, that would be awesome. Because like when we were in like seventh grade, we went to this like national security agency and they were like talking about how we could get jobs there and everything and going to college and how that could help us with our careers and everything. So I think like my main point is that like one thing to remember is that like maybe like focus on like high school, getting them career ready, but also like starting from like all the way back to kindergarten, just setting them up to be prepared for high school and ready for that college and career.
Got it. Can we please have Eleni?
So I feel like, like success for like college success and career readiness looks different for everybody. But for me personally, I knew from a young age I wanted to be in the medical field. As of middle school, I had completely committed, like started taking the steps to become a pharmacist. I've been networking. I've been making a point to go to any meeting I can attend concerning legislation for the pharmacy programs, concerning who is getting the top jobs in the pharmaceutical programs, who is more likely to open their own pharmacy, what degrees I need, the training I need, the experience. And so for me, college readiness was really focused on just knowing what you need to complete in order to get where you want to be, but also ensuring that this is really what you want to do. So another aspect to what I did to prepare for college, or what I am doing to prepare for college is trying different things. Like I've tried a few different sports. I'm currently a boxer, Muay Thai fighter, and American kickboxing. So like I try a few different things. I used to swim in order to understand like what helps me relieve stress, what's going to help me keep my mind leveled and focused, and what can I use as to my advantage to get a scholarship in order to go to college. And so far it's worked out for me. I am a 3-time Carson Scholarship winner. And so I'm already preparing myself for the mindset that it takes to be ready in college. And I think that like schools need to encourage their students to do these things more often, like take a moment, sit down and think about what you really want to do. And if your pathway is really working for you and how you can go about changing it and making sure that it is building the resume you want for your college programs.
That's great that you're doing all these things. It will definitely help making yourself known and try new things when you're trying to immerse yourself in college and career. Can we have Tiara?
Yes, I think success for being college career readiness basically looks like when you go to college, it's basically self mentality. Like I feel as though you should prepare yourself in high school, even though, the work is not as maybe as light as high school, but the motivation have to be there. You have to want it for yourself. I feel like you just can't just jump into something that, maybe peer pressured by family, friends, teachers, etc. I feel like it have to be definitely something you want to do or something you want to push forward to. And I feel like your grade should already be to a high standard of excellence or a high standard or boundary that you're going to set for yourself for college before you even get out of high school. That way, when you walk into college, it's not as hard as to, maintain a high amount of grade or maintain this grade in a certain class or, excel in maybe a challenging class or, I just think, once you get in that junior, senior year, you should already have that mentality that, you're going to push, motivate. You should already be self-motivated before even walking into college.
Understood. Can we please have Siang?
Hey again. So I'm going to try to get this as short as possible. I agree with everyone. I definitely understand what everyone is saying. And I just want to add to the fact of like on top of what everyone said, but like I feel like success and career in college, but not even like those two, but like in life in general, I feel like it's just happiness overall, because if you're not happy with what you're doing, then there's no point in doing it. So if it's really a competition between you and yourself. If you're beating yourself, if you're being better than who you were like yesterday, I feel like that's all you really need. Even though like money is important and like having a stable life is good, I feel like if you're not doing what makes you happy, then there's no point in doing it. But at the same time, you also do need to have a stable income so that you're able to enjoy, like, get the things or enjoy the things that make you happy. So to put it in simplest terms, I feel like happiness is like the overall success for everybody, and that should be the goal. So yeah.
Well, I think all the points that everyone made today really opened, I know, Superintendent Chowdhury and myself's eyes and how we can benefit you as students and for the future of Maryland. So as we come to an end, to our participants and those of you viewing on YouTube Live, the State Board and MSCE, thank you for joining us tonight for this roundtable discussion with students about the strategic plan phase 1 and 2. If you'd like to learn more about the strategic plan, please visit the website, as well as please try to do that survey. Your feedback will continue to guide the ongoing development of the strategic plan. We need as many Marylanders as possible to give your input. So please complete and share the strategic planning survey at marylandpublicschools.org/survey. We will post both of these links in the Roundtable and YouTube chats. Superintendent Chowdhury, would you like to share any closing remarks?
Sure, lots of things, but don't worry, I'm not going to keep you here forever. So first, right off the bat, it's very important that people have access to opportunity, right? I often say talent is equally available in our world, but opportunity is not. So, if that means learning how to speak a second language, if that means making sure you can do hands-on learning and apprenticeships, like Noah stressed hands-on learning, that means being able to have a college and career success program that prepares you. Those things matter, right? Like if I have been here now about a little over a year and a half. I moved here from Texas and I have driven all across the state, and it's not true that every type of opportunity is available. So that's one of the big grand challenges. You heard from a student here tonight from Somerset. And yeah, it's important that people have access, even the exposure you get to apprenticeships and internships and being able to visit colleges and schools. So that's one challenge. The next thing is your high school schedule should allow you to explore, but also give you focus, right? So that's the challenge, right? I agree with one of the comments, like you shouldn't, right? Maybe you want to go try something out after high school and then you want to change it up. So I think it's important that we graduate that you are adaptable, you have the skills to be able to navigate choices, but we also know that it's important that you have focus, right? I have friends who have changed up their majors multiple times in college. They ultimately landed where they needed to, but they wish that they knew sooner, right? So I think as much as possible, starting earlier, we heard that today, going back to as early as kindergarten, doing career exploration in middle school. So all those things are going to matter. And you definitely do not have to be a straight A student to have to go off to college. You do not. You don't have to be a straight A student to be a state superintendent of schools. And you can also be suspended in middle school and be state superintendent. And so you do not have to be a straight A student. You can bounce back, you can rebound. So what's important is that we give you a chance to bounce back. We give you a chance to revise. We give you a chance to try out things. So I heard a lot of great things. And it's also okay if, like Alini, you can't kick everyone's butt through martial arts, but you should have a friend like her to protect you. That will be helpful. And so I appreciate you guys also also just showing how well-rounded you guys are. Don't put me in a box, because you don't really know that I am into many different things, other than also caring a lot about what I want to do with my life after high school. So extracurriculars are always important, right? And so that's so I really appreciate your guys' time. Truly, always inspired by what you guys say and do. And look at this room. This room looks like the future of Maryland and our country, and we need to get it right. No excuses. So I thank you guys for your time today. Thank you.
Couldn't agree more with what you said, Superintendent Chowdhury. Thank you for those closing remarks. And thank you again to our roundtable participants and YouTube live viewers. We appreciate you joining us tonight.